When I call Donald Trump weak, cowardly, feckless, stupid, insecure, they're not just invectives. Well, they are invectives, but they're not just invectives. They point to a more important aspect of leadership and what we should be looking for in a president of the United States, not someone who can be flattered or manipulated by praise, not someone who acts out of their basest lizard brain instincts, not out of greed, many things you don't want in a president. And weakness and egomania and insecurity are some of those that you really don't want. Look, you need an ego to run for president of the United States. You need to have some sort of confidence in yourself to be able to do what is an impossible job. But when you possess the negative qualities that Donald Trump does in full form, he possesses the worst among us in every single category, and it's filled to the brim. That's a problem. And this story exemplifies that more than maybe any other. It is that right now, around Mar-a-Lago, they are preparing to run campaign ads. The Trump campaign, pay for campaign ads in that media market just so Donald Trump can see them and feel good about himself. They phrased it as getting a psychic boost to Donald Trump. Is that what we want in President of the United States? I'm going to read from this article in Bulwark. The Bulwark, this is the headline. Trump camp spends tens of thousands to air ads in and around Mar-a-Lago. Florida's not at risk, but staffers are risking anger from the boss and some donors if he doesn't see his own ads. This is something they did back in 2020 around the White House, where they would play ads in this media market where I live in Washington, D.C., that has no chance of going Republican. But they did it to be like a salve for Donald Trump. Oh, sir, we're coming to you as big, strong men with tears in our eyes to tell you how good you are, and here are your ads that people see. Because he's a coward, because he's a weakling. He's a mental, just insignificant. Here's the article. Donald Trump's campaign is set to run cable news ads this week so they can be seen at the ex-president's Mar-a-Lago club and surrounding environs. The South Florida expense is likely to have no impact on the course of the election. Palm Beach County is a Democratic stronghold in a Republican state that Trump has little chance of losing. But Trump's staff is at some risk of incurring his wrath if he and his Palm Beach pals don't see his ads at Mar-a-Lago, a factor that insiders say compelled the purchase. So listen, if there were different metrics, if there was a different reality at play here, this wouldn't matter. If there was a possibility of winning Palm Beach County, and if Florida was in question, then it'd be a good strategic move, a good use of money spent by hardworking Americans who are donating to Donald Trump's campaign. Instead, it's a flagrant misuse of that money in order to make Donald Trump feel good and to give him that psychic boost that we're going to talk about. Quote, this is more about keeping the donors happy than the principal. There's a lot of donors in Palm Beach, said a campaign insider who noted that Trump himself would not be in Palm Beach much this week. Quote, if spending $50,000 gets us $5 million, that's good ROI. If it makes the boss happy too, then good. This is most certainly less about the donors and securing more donations than it is Donald Trump feeling good about what's going on and seeing his ads, because Donald Trump believes if people show up to his rallies, it's some kind of a statement or metric on the support of the entire nation at large. He thinks if he pulls into ruby red Iowa or somewhere, or Ohio, or somewhere in Montana, or somewhere in Texas that's filled to the brim with sycophants and cult members, then it must mean the rest of the country. He said in some of these new clips that are coming out from that Dr. Phil interview that he could win California. That's how delusional he is. And I think it's based largely on crowd size and these other things that really convince a dumb guy of the picture on the ground from a 30,000-foot view of the country. According to a political operative familiar with the purchase, the ad, the content of which is unknown, is slated to run on CNN, CNBC, Fox Business, and Fox News. The spot is 15 seconds long, and according to that operative, the purchase will cost the Trump campaign about $47,000, though the figure is subject to change. A Trump spokesperson did not respond to a request for comment. And then they go in and they talk about how this is, in the grand scheme of things, a little bit of money, only a tiny fraction of what the campaign is spending on ads, but it's what it goes to that really matters. This type of expenditure will be relatively minor for a campaign committee that has raised $268.5 million in total between January 2023 and July 31, 2024. But the fact that the campaign felt the need to make it at all illustrates some of the priorities undergirding their operation. Trump aides have made similar investments before. Oh, and again, like I said earlier, during the 2020 campaign, the Trump operation ran $400,000 worth of television ads on DC cable, so the then President Trump and congressional Republicans could get a psychic boost. There it is. Now, there's a former Obama campaign spokesman named Kevin Cate. I don't know this guy, but early in the month, he made a prediction that this was going to happen, and he nailed it. Here's his tweet. I think Trump spends the first TV dollars in Florida for his ego and against his team's advice, and that's how you know we're in a landslide territory. I don't know about that. I don't know about landslide territory for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, but I can tell you this, it does bode well, it portends well. I think that, as I've stated in previous videos, and I want to keep saying it so when it's right, I can toot my own horn, that there are going to be states that are not traditionally won by Democrats, or at least in the last several election cycles, that are going to go for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. I think, it's not going to be in Idaho or in Oklahoma, but it very well could be a Texas. It very well could be Alabama and Georgia again. It could be a state that you don't always think of as a Democrat, as a blue state. And I'm here for it. If you're in one of those states, I want to hear from you. What are you going to do if you live in Texas? What are you going to do if you live in a state that is usually reliably red? Because if Kamala Harris was to pull off Texas, a lot of the consternation and questions surrounding some of these other states, the importance of winning those other states, the Wisconsins, the Michigans, the Pennsylvania, the Georgias, the Arizonas, the Nevadas, would be less. It would be less. And it's going to take your work. It's going to take your organization. It's going to take, whether you're going to knock doors or metaphorically and figuratively knock doors with your family and your friends and your coworkers and your acquaintances. That's what matters. What do you think? I'd love to know. You can call, leave me a voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me, as always, daily at dollemore.com. I'm waiting for you to communicate. You can also just mix it up in the comments. That's good for the algorithm, even if you leave just a comment. Here's a clickety-clack. Here's a comment. Enter. That's good enough, too. Make sure you're subscribed. We are on the march, I was going to say to 800,000, but really we're on the march to 1 million subscribers, and you can help by doing your part there. If you want to help support this work by doing more and giving $2 a month, you can become a channel member below. Click the join button. You can head over to my Patreon page, patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. But just watching the videos, sharing these videos is a big time support. I appreciate it. Follow me on social media. I'm at Dollemore everywhere. I'd love to see you there. And I will see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another.